Hey there, YouTube family. It's A Negative Atheist back at you with a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a project my daughter Pandora has completed. This is her very first painting project ever. She's never painted a model before. She has kind of helped me a little bit, and I've shown her some basic techniques, but this is the first project she's done on her own. Instead of just painting one really awesome model for me to show you guys right now here in my hands, she painted an entire box of them. She did an entire miniatures game for her very first project. She's very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. I think you guys are going to like it a lot too. I did use a brand new photo editing software so that we got some really great shots. You can see some good detail on them, and we'll be using that in future videos. So we're trying to improve the content here constantly for you guys. Also, while I'm on that topic, we are going to be posting a schedule for releasing new videos very soon. I have a whole lot of ideas for things that we can do to grow this channel and this community, things that I want to talk about politically and religious, ideological type views, and I want to start having some good debates with you guys. So this here first video is going to be on Pandora. She's going to show you all of her models and showcase her amazing talents. And maybe I'll do a video later on to show you the process that we use to paint. It's not going to make you great by any stretch of the imagination. That's what artists are for. I'm not a great miniature painter. I can't make you a great miniature painter, but I can teach you how to paint them. And for us, it's very relaxing. It's something great to do after a hard day's work, come home and just kind of get lost in something else, this whole other project for a little bit. So more on that later, but for right now, we're going to go check out Pandora. Thanks.
Hello, I am Pandora, and today I will be talking about these cool figures from stuffed Fables that I made. So I like how Lionel came out because of the contrast between him and his base.
Yeah, I really like the warm tones versus the cool tones of the base. I think that came out really well. You know, another thing that I really liked about Lionel, and we did this on all of the hero figures, is that we put a silver undertone on his eyes, and then we glazed them with a brown. So when you look at them, it's kind of hard to tell in the photos, but when you look at them, when you're holding them, they kind of have a glint in their eye, but their eye still matches the color of their nose, which is kind of neat.
Well, some of them, their eyes are completely silver because those were one of the first ones I did, but I still really like how they came out.
Yep, I think overall, the appearance of these are really good. Lionel is one of the last ones we did, and I kind of brushed up, found some new techniques for washing and made him look a little bit neater, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that patch, you made really, well, it was really small on the figure, and you had to do that because it was so small that I could barely see it.
Yeah, trying to get that little hash pattern was pretty crazy. It was an intense little spot, considering that these aren't the most robust in detail models, although there are some. This
like
one
Stitch?
Yeah, like Stitch. This one in particular was kind of cool.
Challenge.
I think up next we have Lumpy, and he's one of my favorite just because he was the first character that I played when we were kind of test running the game before we started painting him, and he's just kind of a goofy little guy with a big mallet.
That meat tenderizer, though.
Yeah.
All the others have like toys and like pins and pencils and stuff to protect themselves. Well, Lumpy's over here with a meat tenderizer.
Yeah.
Just, oh, hello.
Once again, I like the contrast between the warm and cool tones. This time it's reversed. You did cool tones for the model itself, and then the warm tones are more on his base, so it still gives that good contrast.
Yeah, I kind of did that for a lot of the figures, but for some of them I didn't.
Yep, and that's perfectly good too.
Yeah, I did that without even thinking about it. That's just how my brain kind of works. But yeah, I like Lumpy because he's really simple.
Yeah.
He was one of the first figures I did, besides the robots. Because of how simple his design was, he turned out really cute, and I like him.
And this next guy is Mr. Hops.
Flops.
Flops. Mr. Flops.
Because of her ears.
Or, no, so it's not Mr.
It's a girl.
So it's just Flops.
Yes.
Alright. That's what I get for gendering characters.
It's fine. We don't have to worry about it.
Alright, so Flops. Flops is your favorite character, right?
Yes.
Why is that?
One, she's a rabbit. And two, I like her details. Like her arrow and what are they called again?
The fletching?
Yeah, fletching. In her backpack, there's colored fletching that are in a pattern. And the one she's holding is also part of that pattern, which I like. It makes it look very much like a toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
I like the way you kept it cohesive through the pattern, too.
Yeah.
Once again, you did some contrast with warm and cold tones, but this time you did it a little bit more all over the model, which really makes it pop. I like the contrasting colors, makes them stand out pretty well against each other as well.
And the plunger she's holding, it was never black in the first place. Never that color. Don't worry about it. It was always red.
I also really like that it looks like you took a lot of time and detail on this one. Like you can really show, when you look at this model, you can really see how much care you took.
Yeah.
How much you really like this particular model. And
that one took me like a week to make.
For some reason, my eyes are really drawn to the shading on the top of the plunger too. I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
It's like not too much, it's just enough, so looks good.
Yeah. Next we have Theodora,
whom you always call Tadursa from Pokemon.
Yeah. I don't know why. My brain just says, oh, that there is Tadursa. And everyone's like, what? I'm just like...
So it looks like we got a little bit of white paint splatter on her somewhere
Yeah.
through the process, but she's a really cool model.
Don't pay attention to the white splatter that looks like bird poop.
Once again,
Don't pay attention.
Painting on this one came out really neat. I like some of the shading. This was also one of the last ones we did, so
yeah,
we changed the process up a little bit.
Oh no, we dropped
You
it.
did another really good job with the contrast between the warm and cold tones, and you know, I think this model really pops really well. This is one of those where we did the silver undertone with the brown on top of the eyes, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like the overall look and feel of this particular model. It really looks toy-like.
Another thing that pushes that toy-like look, and that actually kind of, because she's loyal, it kind of brings out the loyalty, was that little heart pin on her.
Yeah, the little patch.
And yeah, the patch and her little stance. It looks like she has a purpose.
Yep, she's kind of a pro, it looks like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, same as Stitch.
Yeah,
He's
Stitch
our
is up
next one.
next, so...
He's our next one, but he looks like he's ready to go.
I love his pencil. He's like wielding a pencil like it's a full bow staff.
Because he's awesome. Funny story. So when we were test flying this with family, my grandma, she picked out Stitch, and Stitch, his little backstory kind of, is that he is the oldest one, and he watched the child's mother. He protected her, so now he's protecting the child. So
which is funny because your mom was playing with you as your character,
Yeah.
and then her mom, your grandma, was playing Stitch, which just kind of fit. It's just an accident that happened to work out so well. It was pretty funny when we were playing.
Stitch was a pain in the butt. Like, at first, I painted him because I was early starting. So I made a lot of mistakes, but so I repainted over him, and he looks a lot better.
Yeah, you really took your time and did some detailed work here. I know you had to do a lot of different layers on the yellow pencil to get that to look just right. And once again, I really like the fact that you did all the bases kind of unique for all of the main models here.
Yeah, I did that for playability because all the other figures don't have the patterns like that, just simple patterns. Like the bosses, they have certain things for their character, but the main figures don't. They just have these little patterns.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, both of them, oh, not both. All of them are supposed to be very different, so you can distinguish them while playing.
And the last one of our heroes in this lineup is Piggle.
Yes.
Piggle is too cute. He's like a little pig guy with, they call it his battle rattle, which is a funny term that in the military we called our body armor battle rattle because you're always rattling around.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a neat contrast. Now for his eyes, we didn't do the glaze, particularly because it would have not looked as well on the model. So we kind of left that contrast between the cold and warm tone right in his eyes. I thought that was a unique characteristic that just fit the model a little bit better.
Yeah. This is just one thing that I want to point out for his rattle, the stripes. I painted over it too much and it wasn't watered down enough because originally there were these little divots that separated the lines, and it would have looked a lot better with the wash where you could distinguish the divots. So this looks pretty good though. This
is one of those key things that you'll learn through miniature painting, and the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. It's just one of those things that's a muscle you have to keep flexing it and honing it in to get better and better. But
watered down paint.
Yeah, water your paints down, definitely. You want to do extremely thin, very, people say a milk-like consistency for glazes for your actual painting. I mean, you don't want much more than water. You want just more than it takes for the pigment to separate. And as you paint, you'll kind of figure out where that balance lies, and you'll figure out what works better for you. But I mean, you literally just want to tint it every time you do a layer so that you slowly build up, and it really kind of removes some of the disformation from taking out the characteristics of the model. But I mean, overall, still, you did a really great job. For this being your very first painting project, I certainly wouldn't be staring at your flaws. I think that...
Yeah, I would not either, especially with the more complicated characters like Stitch and Flops. Like, you can barely see any of the mistakes on Stitch. It took me a long time though, but...
Yeah, I think you should be really proud of the overall work. I think that... And you know, painting's a learning process. There are models that I don't feel extremely confident about the way that they came out either. Even today, there's ones that I paint that...
And you've painted a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 20-something years, so I'm still not a great painter. There's plenty better painters out there than me, but I think that, you know, it's a process. And if you spend all your time like stripping your models down and repainting them to try to better yourself, then you end up without any products at all to show anybody. So, you know, it's a process. Keep these in your toolbox. You can go back and look at them. You can say, well, maybe, you know, if I paint something with some detail in the future, I'll know to dilute my paints a little bit more and preserve some of that detail and move forward. You know, it's always a forward progression. Now you have great models to play on the table. You're going to appreciate them more. You put a lot of time and energy and love into them, and I think anybody that plays, they're not going to know that he had lines in there. Only you're going to know it. It's only going to bug you. I think when people pick up these models and look at them on the table, they're just going to think, wow, this is really awesome. They're all painted and they look really good. So
they look much better than just the basic gray that they were.
Yeah, no kidding. They're no longer hunks of gray plastic.
Nope. They're actual characters.
Yep, they all have their own unique characteristics and attributes, so great job on those. All right, so let's get into some of the bad guys.
Looks like we're starting off with the robot dog pack.
Yeah, those guys are kind of cool.
Yeah, they were actually my very first minis I've painted.
Ever.
Yeah, ever. I mean, there were there was this one mini that I kind of painted a little bit, but not very much. It was this Chewbacca mini. I didn't do very much at all.
Yeah. Yeah, these are the very first ones you ever finished.
Yes.
And you completely painted them yourself.
Yes.
The only thing I did was some shading and then varnishing.
Yeah. The most you helped me with these were helping me with the wash a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yep, they're pretty cool little guys.
I like the way that I did their eyes because, so first I just had their eyes just yellow, and then I painted everything else, and then we did the wash, and then I came over it again with that same yellow, and then I had it more watered down, and I painted it around the eye so it looks like it's glowing.
Basically a type of glazing, and then added in, they call it OSL, Object Source Lighting.
Yes.
So it's kind of a neat effect. Looks good.
Yeah, I really like how the OSL came out.
And then that brings us into the boss for, or we assume, so we didn't go through any of these ahead of time.
No, so
the
we're
game,
guessing he's a boss because he's giant and there's only one of him.
Yeah, and the game has set up so that you don't get spoilers, so we haven't gone through the game yet, so we're not entirely sure of how all the models fit, but we made some educated guesses, if you will, based on the base shapes and the singularity of some of the models. But this one kind of matched, so we decided he was the boss for the wolf pack.
Yeah, in that same area and stuff. But yeah, with him and with all of the models, I really like them because they have just enough detail, but they're simple enough for beginners to start with this game. And there's a good variation in that overall level. And I like all the little details that are very easily paintable.
Yeah, it's a very good first set for a beginning miniature painter.
Yes.
Gives you a good idea of whether or not you're going to like the hobby, and it's not too fiddly, or you're not building any models or anything. So works pretty well. You can, kind of set up that initial first set and go through and just paint. Some of them have some more detail than others, so it gives you a good variety of different techniques that you can use and really try out the hobby. So very good set, very good models really. In total, I think the amount wasn't too incredibly high to throw you off or anything like that.
There was only like 24 to 27 or something like that.
I don't remember the exact number.
20 something.
Yeah, there wasn't too many. It wasn't like getting 100 models in a box, but
like
it was still plenty to give you quite a bit of work to let you try out some different things. The models are varied pretty well and they're good quality. There's not any bits falling off or anything that's too bendable, and the mold lines really weren't all that bad. Just in general, I think Plaid Hat Games did a great job.
Yeah. I like how Army Painter has a lot of different metal-looking colors, so I could variate very much with all the robots. Like, for him, I have one hand bronze and the other hand silver and stuff like that.
Yep.
Different fingertips.
It's a little bit of variations to give you texture and contrast without really getting outside of the theme. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. And I dry brushed on bronze all over the boss. And after the shading, well, I did gold too. But yeah, you can kind of see it. So it looks kind of scratched up-ish.
Alright, and then we got our little spider doll ladies.
They're creepy.
Yeah, they're the thing of nightmares. These ones we actually saw in the first playthrough of the game that we did.
That's because they're like surprise, we're here now, as soon as we started playing.
Yeah, they were like the very first encounter in the game.
Which was as soon as we started playing.
Yep, super creepy little guys. I know you did a very good paint job on these. Some of them, you know, like they look a little bit distorted, and I like that, you know, you wanted them to look like doll heads. You wanted the colors to be a little exaggerated.
So for some of them, I did a variation of skin colors too, because a lot of dolls have that white and black color skin.
Yep.
And I also did, for two of them, I did this very unrealistic yellow hair color with like streaks of pink or purple.
Yep.
And I also, with some of them, I added like lipstick that I purposefully smudged a little bit to look like old.
Yep, they look pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we have, who we found out later was the doll maker. We thought he was like a scientist guy, so
he still is kind of a scientist.
Yeah, so we kind of used that as his scheme for painting.
Yeah.
Just put a little puddle on his base. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. So I made his base like red tiles with white separations, and then I put a blue puddle underneath his feet. And I didn't like fix the mess on his feet because it's kind of supposed to be like that. It just fits with the whole base more. And I really like how the wash came out with his scientist suit, kind of, or lab coat. Couldn't think of that for a second. But yeah, it makes it look older too, and more grungy.
And then we have the hollows, the little stuffies with the hollow heart in them. We don't really know their backstory just yet because that's going to be revealed in the game, but you took an interesting kind of scheme for their colors. Why don't you talk about that?
I used very bright and mixed colors because I knew they were going to end up being a lot darker and more grungy with the wash. And I did that because I know a lot of stuffed animals are very bright and colorful, and it's made out of a lot of different materials. And I feel like, well, when I was painting, I thought that the scientist, or the doll maker, made the hollows. So I thought you would make it like Frankenstein and with all these different colors. And I also used all those different colors to make a lot of variation with them too.
Yep. It's really good when you're painting, you know, a mass quantity of a single or even similar model type to put in different variations. So when they're out on the board, it kind of gives them an interesting look instead of all of them looking the same and repetitious.
Yeah.
And then we got the big Frankenstein doll monster guy.
Yeah, Mr. Cleaver guy.
Yeah, with the giant meat cleaver.
The stuffed animals and the bad guys just love playing with meat.
I guess.
Who knew? Who knew that stuffed animals would play with meat so much? Or chop it up and cook some steak or something.
He's probably one of my favorite of the models. I really like the cleaver. I like kind of the almost knight-looking face mask thing he's got going on there. And
yeah, it kind of looks like he is evil because the style and all the details. Because when things have a lot of extra details, sometimes it makes it look creepier and more evil.
And I like that generally all of these models are kind of grungy, like they've been under the bed, because that's kind of where this story takes place.
Yeah, it's kind of where this world
That's not a spoiler. You hear it right at the beginning of the game, so.
But yeah, also, that's what I did with
some of the previous models.
Yeah, because they're in this old toy forgotten world.
Yep.
Yeah, next we have the evil wizard.
Or something. We're not entirely sure.
We think it's a wizard because his hat and cloak and stuff.
Yep, he's kind of cool looking.
Yeah, I made his hair silver.
I know the model came out very creepy. I like the way that you painted it.
Yeah, I mixed a color flush with like white because I used it for something else. And I put it on his skin, so now he's like super pale.
Yep.
And I used like a pinkish red for his eyes too. And that was the most I did on the face.
And the wash really made him look kind of muddy and grimy and just generally gross. So it kind of adds to the overall appearance.
Yes. He looks very good. I'm proud of him. And this is what I think is the girl. I don't know exactly yet because we didn't play that far.
Yeah, she's got a really creepy looking face.
Yes.
So, and that, I mean, it was highlighted by the painting it, but I honestly feel like the model was just kind of made in a kind of creepy, surreal pose. Almost makes me think that it might be an enemy, but we're not entirely sure. So.
But yeah, I mean, she is the only one in that, and she does kind of is sized and kind of looking like a boss. So we'll play into that and see if she is or not.
Yep.
But yeah, I like how her clothes got all torn up and stuff in like one spot, but other spots are fine.
Yeah, overall, I think this is a really great project, and I hope you're happy with all the results.
Yeah, I am.
It's definitely going to be great when we play.
Yes.
So great job.
There's a group picture for you.
Welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed Pandora's painting project. I know she did. You know, we sat down at this desk together. I'm working on one project. She's working on hers. She'd ask me a question. I'd give her an answer. And she'd be like, yeah, Dad, I got this. And she'd just go with it. I think her models look absolutely great. We're going to be letting those hit the table real soon, having a nice board game night, inviting some good company over, having some food, drinks, having a great game, and hopefully a great time. And you know, it's gonna be a blast. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, leave me a comment, leave me a like, you know, leave me some hate. I don't care. You know, it's gonna be great. This community is so supportive already. I'm so happy to be here, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video. Thanks.